What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about 5 different Grayscale trusts in this video. We're going to go over BCHG, LTCN, GLNK, GSOL, and Mana in this video. Shout out to Janice Hilton. Thank you very much, Janice. That was a very kind message that you left me. And also, you did request that we talk about some Grayscale trusts. You didn't specify which ones, so I think 5 is good, right? Maybe we'll do 6. Maybe I'll do more if I'm feeling frisky. But going through 5 in one video does take some time. We're going to put a little bit of time into these. I will go over the corresponding cryptos with each Grayscale trust as well to try and get a little bit of a coordinate, a little bit of a heading with these things. But I won't do it for BCHG because I just actually recently made a BCH video, so I'll just kind of take what I remember from that and apply it to this analysis here. Okay, maybe we'll still look at BCH. I might need to do some comparisons, but without any more dillying of the dally, let's get into it. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. And yeah, let's go. So here we are, BCHG, sitting at about $4.03. It's been a damn terrible time since April 2024 to about April of 2025. You had a year of turmoil, but since then it's actually been okay, right? You've been doing all right. It's nothing to complain about, at least, right? Unless you sold the very bottom. From a low to the current price, we're at about an 87% pump. What's BCH done in that same amount of time? I'm actually kind of curious. I said we weren't going to look at BCH, but I lied. I'm a lying liar. All right, let's see here. Come on now. Once it loads. All right, let's see. It's precisely moments like this that I like to take the time to reflect on very important things. Things like, all right, let's get into it. Here we are. From a low going up to this here, 124%. Okay, so Bitcoin Cash is outperforming BCHG. Kind of interesting. That's not what we're accustomed to, but hey, that's okay. I think that in time, BCHG will outperform Bitcoin Cash. Maybe there's just, we're getting over this turmoil, this despair, these private placement sale dilutions of share price and value. We'll see. With that, though, with that dynamic taking shape, that does change things a little bit, right? Like if Bitcoin Cash, if it's up 124%, but BCHG is only up 80%, that's like a 2/3 difference, right? Or a 1/3 difference technically for BCHG. And that could really hurt the price growth if we carry that out further, right? Because typically we expect that you do multiples more than the underlying asset, not less, right? And if we're looking at this here, I personally do expect that Bitcoin Cash gets to $2,000 by the end of this next move or more. That'd be about a 254% move. If you're doing a third less, what would that be? That would be about 80% less, right? A little bit more than 80. That'd be, I guess, 83% less. About 84% less. Which would be what? 170? 166%. So if BCHG only moves up 166%, and again, we're just basing it off of this. I don't think that this is going to uphold, honestly, but 166%, that would mean that Bitcoin Cash itself could be at new all-time, or not new all-time highs, but new relative highs and even higher highs than last cycle, and BCHG is only here. That doesn't sound right to me, man. That doesn't sound right to me. But lately, again, 80% up compared to 120% up. That's a bit of a disparity at the moment. So hopefully that changes. Hopefully we do pick up with Bitcoin Cash and BCHG, not just Bitcoin Cash, and we see that disparity flip in the other direction, and that Bitcoin BCHG actually exceeds the growth of Bitcoin Cash, as we did in the first part of this cycle, right? If we're looking at this back in the glory days, man, oh man, that was so much fun. I don't think we expected a little bit of a pullback, but man, that was long, man. That was really hard. Nobody had a worse. I know the bull market's been hard, and I say the bull market, this crypto cycle has been hard for a lot of people who are, impatient, maybe I should say, who've been investing in things and they just haven't moved up. But man, Grayscale, it's not that they haven't moved up, it's that they've moved down over the past year. It's just crazy. Except for HSEN. HSEN's kind of stagnant, I guess, right? It didn't really move down. It's just stagnant. High to low. I mean, of course it moved down from its highs, but high to low here, minimum target, right, would be 160% growth if we were to keep up this same pace. And that would take us right into our golden ratio zone. So in all fairness, it makes sense, right? $10, $9.50, $11.30, somewhere in that area, that could be where we go. But if BCHG outperforms Bitcoin Cash like I think it would, then I think it'd make more sense to project that we'd see targets, maybe as high as like $23 or even more by the end of this next endeavor, right? By the time that BCH moves up to $2,000 or more, I would think that BCHG is at $18 or more. Does that make sense, right? To me, that makes sense. Anyways, going for the end of the cycle stuff, same kind of idea, right? If Bitcoin Cash is outperforming BCHG, that really hurts your price performance. And I don't know where Bitcoin Cash is going to go, but I do assume 10,000 is the minimum target. I really think 13,000 is where we're going to go, if not higher. But 10,000 is a minimum target. That's a 17, 18x. Okay? If we did a third of that, what is that, 12? 12x? That'd be 11. I mean, that would take us to about 45.7. Which, on the bright side, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, even on this pessimistic scale of just assuming that that BCHG doesn't perform the way we expect it to, where it outperforms its underlying asset, even that, you're still taking out these highs from like over a year ago, which is nice. You're at least returning back to your all-time highs. But that would put a hole in the plot of the idea that I've had for so long, which is that you will see, no matter what, private placement or not, you're going to see new all-time highs. But time will tell. Man, I remember Ethan was pissed about the private placement sales back here. I remember, shout out to Ethan Galstad. I remember he was pissed, man. And I remember thinking, it's not going to be that bad, right? Like, even with this, even if it tracked the price and the NAV went away, or if it went to NAV price and the premium went away, we would still see new all-time highs just because of the growth in Bitcoin Cash itself. But man, those private placement sales, the thing is that I underestimated was that it was just one round. But there's multiple rounds, multiples, and it really hurt the price. When they did these private placement sales, again, guys, understand Grayscale literally said F you to you, the investor. They don't care about you. They care about the wealthy investors who are not the 99% of people who are buying this thing that sent it up in the first place. They care about the private placements. And the reason why they did that was so they could probably get their hands on more actual crypto before the institutions started to load up. That's probably exactly what they did. So they looked after their own best interests, which maybe pays off to yours inevitably. Maybe you just take a lick at first, but it's just BS. I get it now, man. I'm looking back, I'm like, man, I was like trying to be calm, be the voice of reason, but I think Ethan being pissed was the voice of reason. And it is. It's BS, man. It really is BS. But let's move on, okay? Let's move on. Ultimately, 45.70 is like the minimum target that I could see BCHG hitting by the end of the cycle, and that's pessimistic minimum. That's if this two-thirds, it'd be two-thirds the growth of Bitcoin Cash continues. I don't think it will. I think that we'll pick up the pace, and I think that we'll see a multiple higher. So if Bitcoin Cash sees a 17, if it sees an 18x or more, then BCHG should see like a 30x or more, right? 36x or more. And that would take it to new all-time highs. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw $105, even up to $262. As crazy as it sounds, man, when this bull market really gets going, I think crazy things are going to happen, and Grayscale is going to, I think, shine as well. But that was a lot of time on BCHG. You guys see what I mean? We're probably just going to keep it at the 5. Let's see, LTCN. Sorry, I got to keep clearing my throat, man. This wildfire smoke is getting to me. I think of Shrek, right? Donkey. Oh. You see, I'm an asthmatic, and with you blowing smoke rings and all. LTC. I don't think it's conducive for this kind of physical relationship, or however he says it. LTC. Okay, so here we go. LTCN. In all honesty, I do like the charts, right? The charts do look nice. And that sucks. A year of downside sucks, but this is a very nice accumulative bottoming pattern. Had a very nice reaction here. Even the correction, my goodness, man. Hold on. That's so bad. Even the correction is a 1, 2, 3 phase correction. I have to correct myself too, because some people think I will do that, right? I will literally mute the mic and then clear my throat out so loud, and then I'll come back and be like, that's so bad. But see, to you, that can seem like I'm doing something else. I'm not doing something else. I am just clearing out my throat in case anybody thinks I'm farting. That's not what's happening. Okay? I don't do that. Come on now. Not me. No, I do. Just not on video. Anyways. $9.15 is the price right now. Sorry, I had to take it to such an extreme area there. The correction itself does look nice as well, right? We've got the low here, correcting within the correction, and then another low. Typically, you have 1, 2, 3 phase corrections. Okay, that's actually very typical. So that in itself does look nice too, and would suggest that we move higher. If we take a low to a high here, we also bounced off the golden ratio. I mean, it is a beautiful chart. It is a beautiful chart, and you got higher lows overall in the macro. So with that being said, I would expect that we grow not just above this high, but probably back to new all-time highs, you know, like inevitably. But again, let's run that same kind of idea here. It tends to go quicker once we have a basis laid out with Bitcoin Cash or whichever one we do first. 83% growth since April. What have you seen in that time? 66% growth. So that's like 75%. It's not as bad, but still a little bit less. That's not what we're accustomed to. We're accustomed to a multiple more, not less. So again, with that idea in mind, if Litecoin goes where I think it could go to by the end of this cycle, we take a high to low here. We go from the current price, roughly the current price. Let's try and get it right on there. By the way, I saw that movie Sinners. You guys, it's such a good movie. Such a good movie. I wish I didn't know what it was about before I went into it, but I didn't know too much. Like, I didn't know the storyline. I knew, like, and I don't want to say it because I don't want to ruin it for people, but I knew that it was a different movie maybe than what it comes on to be at the first half of the movie. Such a good movie, though. Sinners, you guys, really good movie. All the little things they do too, like it's pretty cool. It's actually pretty damn cool. I like it. I thought it was a good story. $115.93 right now for Litecoin. The minimum target I'd have by the end of the cycle would genuinely be somewhere just above here. Like I think 2,000, 2,500, something like that. But based off of this fib, $3,400, $4,000, something like that. Let me see here. Let's go off the grandiose fib. High to low. Yeah, that's what I thought. It was like 2,100. So minimum target's about a 18x from here. So if LTCN, 18x, 75% of an 18x, well, it was 12x before, but that was a third. I'm not going to do that. That's just going to confuse me. So it would be 4.5 plus 9, right? So 13.5x. 13.5x. That would put you up here, which not financial advisor, not a financial advisor. Again, it's not new all-time highs, but at least it's above where you dropped off here. Anybody who bought the high, even anybody who bought this whole cycle would at least have some green. Oh, but that's from the current price, not from the low. So actually from the current price, sorry, that was different. That would have been different. That'd put you at about 120 bucks. So 120, 125 bucks. Yeah, that's not bad, but I still think that's low. And again, I'm not saying this is where I think you'll be by the end of the cycle. I just think that as a pessimistic target, that's the worst outcome. That's if Litecoin sees its bare ass minimum target at 2,100, and not only that pessimistic outcome, but and LTCN doesn't grow a multiple higher than Litecoin. If Litecoin sees that price and LTCN doubles it, right, then we'd see, if not more, because typically it is more, if it doubles it, then we'd see something on the lines of like a $327 price. If it does more than that, which is likely, we'd see new all-time highs. Let alone if LTC does what I think it can do, which is go all the way up to $4,000 to $6,000 by the end of the cycle. I mean, that would give it a 38x or more. We would see LTCN just rip. It would straight blossom to that effect, man. We'd probably see not just new all-time highs, but prices above $1,000 for LTCN if that happens. And there's no Litecoin ETF by the end of the cycle as well. As long as neither of those things happen, or as long as the premium comes back and grows for LTCN versus Litecoin, and Litecoin sees prices around $4,000 to $6,000, and there's no ETF, then yes, I think that can happen. That's a lot of ands, but that's not really asking too much. It's actually very normal stuff that I'm asking for. Maybe the no ETF part is the only iffy thing. But anyways, definitely hopeful. Even at a pessimistic worst, $127 would be where we go, which it's not any fun to think about, especially whenever we've been considering new all-time highs this whole cycle. But I would still say the statistical probability is that we will see new all-time highs. Looking at the short-term stuff on Litecoin here, looking at this daily time frame, I think that we're at an area to bounce. Maybe we go lower, right? Maybe we do, maybe we don't. Just like a couple of these cryptos like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, XRP, Ethereum. You know, maybe they see a little bit lower, but if they do, it's just going to be an insignificant amount. And we are really on the precipice of breaking out to new relative highs. Higher prices than we've seen all cycle. Clearly an accumulative phase. I'd very much expect that we rip to $300 to $400. So with that in mind, real quick, you know, we'd see 165% to 270%, 165 to 200%. Let's see, 270. What, that'd be like 1200%. No. 165 would be 120%. That'd put LTCN at 21 bucks. You're at $9 now, so that's nice. And what was the other one? 100 and 277. So what would that be? 200 would be 3/4. What's 3/4 of 277? I'm having a blank. I'm not even trying right now. Okay. So it would be 60? No, it'd be a little bit more than 60. Let's go with 70. It'd basically be 70. So 70 times 3 is 210. So yeah, it's basically 200%. Damn it, I had it right the first time. I was just guessing, but 210%. Okay. So 210% would be $28. So $28, $20, somewhere in that range, by the end of this next move, which I think will be September or October for LTCN. Yeah. And that's if you don't move up at a faster pace than LTC. If you keep the same pace that you've kept now, which is like 3/4 of the price growth, instead of actually surpassing it. If you do surpass it, if we see something on the lines of like double that, I mean, dude, you could very well be at like $40 to $60 by the end of September, if not October. Okay. And we went over the long-term stuff. So let's move on from there. GLNK. This one might be exciting because Link has been exciting. Whoop. GLNK. That's right. GLNK. There it is. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. You've been moving up a good little bit. You've been doing all right, Linky. Let's see here. Come on now. It's loading. While it's loading, let's actually pull up Link as well. Oh, man. It's all glitching out. I might turn this up. So, actually, just so that it makes things move a little bit faster. If you guys hear it, don't worry about it. Okay. Low to where we are now. Moved up about 327%. Link. Let's see. This will be a good comparison for Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash Grayscale Trust because they haven't really seen their moves up. Bitcoin Cash has been kind of casual, but Link, this explosive kind of movement, we haven't seen this yet. So let's just see how this is doing, okay, for us. Look at that. Okay, cool, right? Right? This is what we expect. This is actually more normal. So that bodes well. Those minimum targets that I gave for BCH and LTCN, BCHG and LTCN, understand they're probably not going to happen. Because look at Link here. Moved up 146%. Relative to the chart, that's a rather explosive move. GLNK has moved up more than that. We've actually doubled that, right? Basically over doubled that. So that's great. That's awesome. That's more what we'd expect to see. See, that bodes well for the other Grayscale Trusts. When their corresponding assets start to take off, the premiums will kick in. Bitcoin Cash has been moving up since April, but it's been very casual. Litecoin's been moving up since April, but it's been very casual. When they really take off, those premiums, those will set in, man. That'll absolutely happen because there's less people involved. The reason, and people ask why premiums work or why there's a premium, why they grow, and the reason why is it's you guys, right? Whenever the underlying asset is growing at a slow pace, there's room for you guys to trade it, right? You have time to think about it, trade it, maybe take profits, get out, take a neutral stance, take a loss, get out at higher prices, whatever, invest in the underlying asset. But whenever the underlying asset's moving up, you're probably going to hold on to your Grayscale Trust because you're not sure as to how much it's going to grow, right? You want to kind of be patient and let it play out. You're more holding. If you see the underlying asset move up, you're not going to be selling your trust. So then with that, there's a lack in selling pressure. It's also a less liquid market in comparison to the underlying assets. So any kind of buying pressure is just going to launch that price up. I don't know if I explained that right, but that's the best that I could. But I feel like that's kind of how it happens. At least that's how I make sense of it. That's how the premiums arrive because it's literally you willing to pay for whatever someone's willing to sell it for, right? And those premiums go up whenever the underlying asset's doing well. So anyways, Link here, probably going to see prices around its all-time high area here going into September, October. I would expect that from the current price, we see this thing grow. I mean, I'd be surprised if we weren't at new all-time highs by the end of October or by the end of September. 112 at 53 bucks, 112% or more. Yeah, if you're doing the same rate of growth that you're doing now, GLNK, you should be up then what, 200%? I mean, that would put you'd be back at like 160 or higher. So GLNK's going to 160 or higher, I think, and maybe even new all-time highs by the end of Q3, if not the beginning of Q2, sometime in October there. Okay, fantastic. Where are we going to go by the end of the cycle? That's hard to say. That's pretty hard to say. I don't know one way or another. I'm leaning toward the idea that Link stops at like $400 to $500. Maybe it goes all the way to $1,000. Maybe. I could see it happening. It's possible. I can see it happening. Let's say 1,000. Okay, that's a psychological level of resistance, and it's the 2272. I'm fond of the 2272 for a cycle high, actually. $2,000 implies a 3,700. But the thing is, GLNK will top off before Link does, so it probably won't see the same results as far as like it won't grow based off of this. It might grow based off of this. Does that make sense? Because you're probably going to top off before GLNK does. So I would think, or before Link does, I would think GLNK has a very solid chance of seeing $1,300. I would say $1,300 to $4,000 by the end of the cycle. Could you see $8,600? I mean, that's 160x, but dude, I mean, probably not. Probably not. Probably not. No, I don't think so. Probably not. But I feel pretty confident about that $4,000 to $1,300 target area. Okay, maybe if Chainlink goes crazy or the premiums on GLNK go crazy, but probably not. 1,300 to 4,000 by the end of the cycle. That's what I got for GLNK. Let's move on. We'll talk about GSOL and then Mana, and then wrap it up. Okay. So I've spent so much time on this video already. I'm tired, man. I need to get some sleep. SLEEP. That's what sleep is for me. I don't know. High to low here. Solana, right? I remember, man. Nobody wanted to hear it. Whenever I forget where we were. This was back before the split happened, but we were like up somewhere around here, and we had news about the Solana ETF come out, which it never did, but it's probably going to. So this is just returned to its NAV, and it hasn't come back since. But it's dumped, man. It's dumped. Absolutely it has. Solana, on the bright side, I remember this very well. So I do believe that Solana will grow enough to where GSOL will come back to where this drop was. I think that you might even see new all-time highs in time, right? GSOL doesn't get the same rules. It's very fixed to Solana, okay? So if we're looking at this here, from the low to the high, you saw 160% growth since April. From the low here for Solana, and actually we can just do this here. Low here for Solana in April to the high, 116% growth. So 116 versus 160. Okay, you went outside of the norm a little bit, but I wouldn't wait too much on that. That might just be some standard volatility. There's no ETF yet, so your price is not fixed. But whenever there is an ETF, if there is an ETF, it'll be more fixed. But I think that the premiums, even if there's no ETF for the rest of the cycle, the premiums will be limited, I think, because people are expecting and anticipating an ETF. So it's going to spook that kind of premium investment, if that makes sense. I don't know. It can happen, but that divergence, that little divergence there is probably the most that you'll see. Nothing too crazy. Not like a 2x or 4x multiple or a 6x multiple like we saw for BCH and LTCN earlier in this cycle. See, and that's proof. I haven't had to clear my throat once since I muted the mic, and I really, really went hard at clearing my throat out. Okay, that's just proof right there. Either that or I'm playing the long game. But $15.3 right now. I do think Solana sees new all-time highs. I just think it's going to be a huge disappointment this cycle, right? Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. It already is, right? It already is being a huge... I mean, technically, I guess if you invested early on, it's actually not been a huge disappointment. Ethereum has been. But I think from here and on, it will be a huge disappointment. I don't see Solana getting above $2,200. In fact, it's completely possible that Solana stops at $1,000 and it doesn't go above there. Okay, so at its best, let's just assume it's at its best. I very much believe you will get above 670, okay? But at its best, you're going to see about like an 11, a 12x, okay? 12x from SOL, GSOL then at the same rate, I mean, you'd be lucky to see $243. But you're very likely going to see new all-time highs, okay? And I don't think that the all-time highs, I don't even think this fib works right now because what this was, what all this was, is different than what all this is, right? It's different. Premiums, right? Separation from NAV, fixed to NAV. Waiting for destiny for the ETF to come out, right? It's just, it's not a thing. So that's my take on Solana, on GSOL. I would just, looking at Solana, I think that we're stair-stepping our way up. We'll probably be at $670 to $1,000. I think $1,000 by the end of the year, $670 by the end of September or October, okay? Somewhere in there. With that, that's a 265% growth. 265% growth would imply then you probably go right back there. Look at that. I'm going to delete all these chicken scratch here so it's easier to see for you guys. Not all the chicken scratch, but right there, boom. Prior resistance and prior support. It's perfect. It's literally perfect. All right, let's finish this bad boy up with some mana. M-A-N-A. That's what I want to say. Come on. Load. I typed in mana. There we go. Right, so there's no way to prove it, but I meant it. Mana has been a very, very big disappointment. Absolutely humongous disappointment, unfortunately, right? A lot of promise. I think that the metaverse is an interesting kind of topic in the crypto space. And I wouldn't be surprised if Mana moved up, but man, look at this. This is the last time I looked at this chart even, right? Look at that. Look at that. We were ready to go. I thought we were going to have an explosive outbringing, man, but nope. No, we came down. On the bright side, I do think accumulation is going on here. I don't think we're distributing, but man, April 7th, we were still seeing lower lows. It's just crazy. But we haven't seen lower lows since April 7th, which is actually pretty damn good, I think. Hopefully we're accumulating here and we're ready to move up. Assuming that we are ready to move up, I would think by the end of September, October, you're probably going to see something at about 86 cents. You're not going to break out of this overall range, okay? We're not in the same environment that we thought we were before. Getting up here, 200% growth, something like that. 460, maybe you get up to $2. Maybe you see something like that, okay? Maybe. If Mana does that, then I would assume that Mana Grayscale Trust probably comes up to about 778 in that amount of time, right? If Mana comes up to about $1.59 or higher, if we saw 468% growth, 5.6x, I would then assume that this does something more than that, right? Maybe just a little bit more, maybe double that. We could see anything from $30 to $20, right? But if this does what I think it's going to do and it doesn't do any of that crazy stuff, we come back up here to this area and maybe just above it, actually. I would think that we would. There's no such thing as a quadruple top. We probably go just above it. So let's actually plan out for the next area, which would be here. That's a 279% growth. Then I would think, 279? Maybe we could see 600, right? If we do a 2-to-1 kind of growth ratio and even a little bit more like GLink's doing, maybe you could still hit $20 at your maximum. Okay, so that's nice. 30 to 20 at the maximum. But 20 to, what is it? I would think you'd get above 300%. So 20 to 11 at the minimum, right? Which is still nice, but it's not a whole lot of recovery in comparison to where you were back in March of 2024. So something, at least a little bit of something. Let's see if these areas make sense, right? $11, $20, and $30. What do we got on the price action? I mean, 16 to 20, that's your golden ratio, so that's nice. $30 is your 786 there, and 1040 is your 0.5. So yeah, all those areas, man. Somewhere, I guess if I had to lean one way or another, I'd lean in the middle, 20 to, let's say 16 to $21. That's like end of September or October expectations, right? End of cycle stuff. It's hard to say. I'm not confident. I don't even want to go over it with Mana. It depends, man. Will you see new all-time highs? Because if not, you'll probably stop at the 886, which would be about a 14x. If Mana sees a 14x, Mana Grayscale Trust will stop. It'll find its high before this one tops off. So maybe you're closer to like this price, like a 700% growth, 600% growth, 900% growth. If you were to do something like that, let's just say 700% growth right in the middle. Maybe this thing does like a 14, 15x. In which case, maybe Mana Grayscale Trust sees $40 by the end of, or $45 by the end of the cycle, tops off at its 886 as well. But if Mana sees new all-time highs, I mean, it's very possible that the Grayscale Trust could see a 70x or more. It's very possible. But it's hard to say. It's really hard to say. I feel the least confident about that one. I'm pretty confident about September to October. I'm not confident about the end of the cycle stuff. That's why I didn't spend too much time on that. But I don't really have anything else that I want to say. I think I've said everything that I need to say. The MACD looks kind of nice, actually. The stochastics look nice, too. And the RSI has cooled off a lot on the weekly time frame. These two give me hope that you're ready to move up. Daily time frame does look bullish. Let's just see if it prevails. Mana here. Mana, man, the problem child of my portfolio. I've greatly diminished my size in Mana. Moved it over to Cookie. I like that. I do like what we're doing on the weekly, on the RSI. I don't hate it, at least, is what I should say. The MACD looks ready to go. I mean, I really do think that we're going to run. We're going to rally. It's just we probably don't get too much above $1, right? That's my thoughts. Anyways, I got nothing else for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. One last shout out to Janice. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys on the next one, okay? Take care of yourselves, and bye-bye.